Hi, my name is Deja, and this is my sports analysis on diving. So the background of diving, what will be discussed is the motion analysis, types of movement, duration, intensity, frequency, work to rest ratio, physiological demands, and physical characteristics, key performance indicators, common injuries, common assessments, personal assessments, and my sport of choice is diving. It's for elite divers at the professional level. Alright, so now to move on to the motion analysis, the types of movements, we'll begin with the types of dives. There's the front, back, reverse, inward, twisting, and arm stand, and the positions within that is straight, pike, tuck, and free. So we'll talk about the duration. So dives typically last between 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds. On a 3-meter springboard, about 2 seconds, and on a 10-meter springboard, about 3 seconds. So the intensity is high intensity due to the physical and mental demands, including preparation, execution, and precision. Precision includes the takeoff, body control, and entry forces. For the frequency, for springboard divers, takeoff typically takes 3 to 5 controlled running steps leading into the dive. Rotations that include tucks, pikes, and twists are high in frequency depending on the type of dive because divers can perform multiple rotations in one dive. And then for water entry, it is pretty high in frequency because it occurs at the end of each dive. Next are the physiological and physical demands. So for physiological demands, there's explosiveness, upper body strength, lower body strength, aerobic capacity, and balance and coordination. For physical characteristics, they are typically lean and muscular build. Most divers are shorter on average, and they have a strong core stability and lots of flexibility within the hips, shoulders, hamstrings, and the back. So some key performance indicators is the takeoff quality, rotational speed, twist accuracy, and the water entry. For takeoff quality, it's about height and trajectory. For rotational speed, it's about completing the twist within the air time. For twist accuracy, it's about the precision and completing the twist. And for water entry, it's about minimal splash. All right, next to discuss is the common injuries. There are a lot of lower extremity injuries in the knees, Achilles, quadriceps, ankle sprains, and there's also injury and fractures on the fifth metatarsal. Next are shoulder injuries within the glenohumeral joint instability. There's shoulder impingement, and then there's injury in the supraspinatus. Last is elbow injuries, and this is what leads to tricep tendonitis. Some common assessments that are used in diving is SAST, which is Swimming Anaerobic Sprint Test, and it's done 6 times, 25-meter intervals, and is performed at maximal speed with a 15 seconds of rest in between. Next is DAST, which stands for Diving Anaerobic Sprint Test, and again is 6 by 25 meters, performed at maximal speed, and there's 15 seconds of rest between each dive. Now to get into some personal assessments that I would use for a testing day, beginning with balance and stability. At the upper quadrant Y balance test, it is used to test for upper body strength, stability, and core stability. Upper body strength is a need in entry to the water, takeoff, and in rotations. Next is the STAR excursion. This assessment is for balance and stability, strength, and coordination, and it's important for divers as they have to jump off of the board. Next is the plank, and it deals with core stability. It's good for stabilizing the pelvis and transferring force and balance and coordination. Now to move on to the athlete's back scratch. This assesses shoulder flexibility, and diving requires great shoulder flexibility to perform their dives, and shoulder flexibility and stability is needed when diving and making water entry. The next category is power, and the test that I decided to use was the vertical jump and the broad jump. The vertical jumps, this assessment is used using both legs to assess lower body power, benefiting jumping. And the broad jump assesses lower body power. However, with the horizontal movement, it is beneficial for explosive movements like leaping out for the dive. In the next category under strength, I decided to use the back squat and the handstand push-ups. So for back squats, divers require strength in their legs, hips, and core, and the strength assessment will contribute to the athlete having a powerful lower body. Now for the handstand push-up, this test is for overhead press power, which is essential for arm movements during takeoff and rotations and dives. The last test I decided to use was the anaerobic step-up test. Swimmers rely on the anaerobic system. It challenges the athlete to produce anaerobic energy during explosive movements, and it's beneficial for freestyle and butterfly strokes. And the explosiveness mimics the start and turns on swimming starts. Next, I will go into the 5 assessments that I decided to describe, which is the plank, the anaerobic step-up, Apley's back scratch, and the handstand push-up. The first test is the plank, which it focuses on core stability. It's vital for stabilizing the pelvis, transferring force during changes of direction, and maintaining balance and coordination. Next, we have the anaerobic step-up. Swimmers rely on the anaerobic system, and it challenges the athlete to produce anaerobic energy during explosive movements. This can be beneficial for freestyle and butterfly strokes. The explosiveness also mimics the start and the turns on swimming starts. The next test that there is the Apley's back scratch. This assesses shoulder flexibility, and diving requires great shoulder flexibility to perform dives to the greatest performance, also making sure that there is proper water entry. The last assessment is the handstand push-up. This tests for overhead press power, which is essential for arm movements during takeoffs and rotations and dives.